Hello and welcome to Transformers Lore. In this vast multiverse, there are times when we don't have solid facts, but instead legends. While the actions of Primus and his 13 have been clear-cut, even if you need to piece them together, we don't have a record as to his actions in Primax 1005.19 Gamma. However, we do have a creation myth, which is very unique for Transformers lore. Later fiction very well might reveal that the reality of the myth is far different. Today, we are going to have a look at the myth of the Guiding Hand and Primus as told by Cyclonus of Primax 1005.19 Gamma. There once was a time called the Formatting, and while the First Light was still moving through the universe, Primus was forged in something called the Universal Furnace, in reaction to his opposite. The source gets interrupted before he could name Primus's opposite, but you know. Speaking of which, there's a video about Unicron on D180223's channel, by the way. I show up in it and had a part in creating it. Go check it out. Link will be in the description as soon as possible. While Primus walked on the surface of Cybertron, he felt the sense of urgency to create life, and broke apart his body into 5 pieces, creating Mortalus, Solimus, himself, Epistemus, and Adaptus. Mortalus was the Deathbringer and the necessary counterpart to life. Solimus was wisdom incarnate. Primus was the light giver and the life giver. Epistemus was knowledge itself, and Adaptus had many shapes. These 5 together were known as the Guiding Hand. The Guiding Hand populated Cybertron with a single gesture. Primus believed that every Cybertronian should provide to society and gave all Cybertronians a second alt mode that would help them meet the needs of Cybertron. This was Cybertron's first golden age. However, Mortalus believed that the Guiding Hand should become a fist striking out against the universe, but the other members of the Hand opposed him, sparking a war between the members of the Guiding Hand. During the war, Luna 1 was destroyed along with Mortalus, but the other members of the Hand were damaged as well. Primus was close to death and dragged himself into the heart of Cybertron, reintegrating himself from the planet that he first came from, becoming the Vector Sigma, a source of sentience. Mortalus had trapped Solimus within a crystal prison, but Solimus changed his prison so that it could become a conduit for the energies of the Vector Sigma. Through the Matrix, Solimus gave future generations wisdom. Epistemus and Adaptus were stripped down to just a brain module and a transformation cog, respectively, though they gave their lives so that they could be a blueprint for study for the future generations. Because Mortalus had been killed, death itself, Cybertronians could live forever. The generation after the Guiding Hand learned from their wisdom, sentience, intellect, ability to change, and the immortality from their predecessors, and brought peace to Cybertron before leaving on Titans that had once served the Guiding Hand. These Cybertronians would become known as the Knights of Cybertron. So that's the legend, but how well does it hold up historically? Well, this legend was created by the writer James Roberts. Remember him because he'll be important later. Other writers of this continuity appear to have taken this legend to heart and have worked with this story throughout their works, constantly adding it and bringing more elements of it into the present day. However, there are some mystical touches you'd expect from a legend, like the immortality of Transformers, as we know Transformers do die of old age. Luna 1 also was not destroyed, but simply moved for an as-of-yet unknown reason. However, beyond that, the legend seems to hold up. It covers the gap between the fall of the 13 and when Primus returned to his slumber pretty well. Members of the 13 often return to the land of the living after dying, and Solimus and Epistemus are clearly reborn forms of their 13 counterparts, and Adaptus may or may not have ties to an Amalgamous Prime, though it's something I wouldn't put too much stock in. So yeah, beyond that, the legend not only works with the overall multiversal timeline, but is pretty solid within the IDW universe itself. And here's where the problem lies. The writer, James Roberts, was, for a time, best known for his fanfiction, Transformers Eugenesis, before he became a writer for official Transformers content. Eugenesis was a continuation of the Marvel UK Transformers comic that had a major plot point of how Primus and Unicron were actually an artificial intelligence created by the Quintessons to keep the Transformers in line. The book generally shows a bit of disdain towards characters like Primus. In his canon writing, Roberts does not shy away from presenting evidence in history as supposed fact, but then pulling the unreliable narrator trope, and revealing that the event went in another direction. This is fine writing-wise, and you know the writer is going to pull a similar plot twist with this myth. The problem is that so much of this myth has been used by other writers in the same universe, to the point where calling it a myth is a bit of a misnomer, as the very core fundamental events in this story happened, and when the writer pulls this plot twist, well, I hope he does it in a way that makes sense in the wider universe, and doesn't disregard continuity from other writers. But unfortunately, James Roberts has a track record of doing just that. So that's going to wrap up today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you like, follow me on social media for updates, join the subreddit for further discussion on Transformers lore, and have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.